My legs were shaking and my words were stuck with the saliva running down my throat. I didn't know what to answer to my son-in-law. He seemed so calm, as if what he was asking me was normal. But for me, who hadn't had a morning man in a while, it was a bit complicated to respond to him, plus I'm his mother-in-law. Because as a mother-in-law, I believe that when you were with your husband, may he rest in peace, you did not refuse. Because her husband looked like he was tremendous in that sense. Because when I met you, you always said that what kept the union with you firm was that. But the truth is I don't know what's going on with my wife. You won't believe it, but I'm already getting bored of this. Mother-in-law and you, what did you like the most? He asked. I blushed, because I felt the blood rush to my face, and before answering. The street door opened, it was my daughter returning from the market. I got up quickly to go and receive the bags I brought from my daughter. The fresh aroma of fruits and vegetables filled the room, while I helped my daughter organize the products. I tried to put my son-in-law's uncomfortable questions out of my mind, but his voice resonated in my ears like a persistent hum. As we put away the shopping, the sound of the bags rustled in the awkward silence that had settled in the kitchen. My son-in-law watched with an intriguing expression, as if he knew more than I was willing to confess. His penetrating gaze was fixed on me, while his mind seemed to make me its food. I felt a little uncomfortable, because I felt a slight energy running through my back. I was in front of the mirror, lost in my own thoughts. The atmosphere of my room was full of memories and secrets, which one day I shared with my husband. The aroma of the scented candles that I always lit to relax mingled with the sweet fragrance of the wilted roses in the vase on the nightstand. I honestly didn't know how to approach the conversation with my son-in-law. The last time I had asked myself about my intimate life, I had felt like every word was a thorn sticking into my heart, and I understood the frustration that accompanied those types of indiscreet questions, because for many years, I had experienced the same torment with my late husband. The sheets on the bed reminded me of sleepless nights and suppressed sighs. I shuddered just to think that my life would change if I found myself with someone who gave free rein to love, like I wanted to do with my husband. But he wasn't so given to that, and that's why I understood my son-in-law well. As I thought about that, a chill ran through my body that made me tremble completely. Because anyway, it was time for me to do nothing at all. It was then that my daughter's soft voice broke the tension in the air. A whisper through the closed door that betrayed a foreign conversation. Mom, my uncle arrived. He says he wants to talk to you. Thank you, daughter, I'll go and take care of it in a moment, I told her. Alone and with my heart pounding, I took a quick look in the mirror, adjusting my blouse as if I were trying to hide my own secrets behind an impeccable appearance. I thought about asking my daughter's uncle, a man of experience, to intervene and talk to my son-in-law about that matter that had become a shadow that followed me. With determined steps, I headed to the living room, and as I passed by my daughter and son-in-law's room, a fragment of their conversation filtered their words through the half-open door. My daughter's voice sounded full of frustration and disappointment. It's just that you don't have any fun anymore. You eat everything you want at all times, as if that were food, he expressed with a hint of resignation. The echo of those words resonated in my mind, resonating with a strange familiarity. Without wasting time, I continued my way towards the living room, but my mind was buzzing with intertwined memories. Those words were an echo of the past, because they were also the same words that my husband used with me. The brother of my once husband was waiting in the living room. He got up from the couch and I barely had time to crack a smile before he approached, hugging me tightly, and placing a friendly kiss on my cheek. You look good, little-in-law, he said with a warm smile. I'm glad to see you this strong and positive. I have something important to tell you. My heart beat with intrigue as he took some papers out of his briefcase and placed them on the living room table. My eyes rested on them expectantly, not daring to ask questions. Well, I don't want to take up too much of your time, he continued, noticing my anxiety. These are the insurance papers my brother left for you. It's time you get what you deserve. My mind was filled with mixed emotions. Although I tried to maintain my composure, the prospect of alleviating the mounting debts and expenses that plagued me every day filled me with relief. However, I tried hard to hide my joy, knowing that I didn't want him to think that my main interest was money. I don't know how to thank you, I said sincerely, accepting the papers with trembling hands. My brother-in-law smiled knowingly and encouraged me to rejoice. This deserves a celebration, don't you think? We should go out to dinner together. I was silent for a moment evaluating the offer. It was a kind gesture on his part, and he knew it was the perfect time to discuss something more urgent. Sure, I replied, I accept your invitation to dinner. Also, there is something I need to tell you about my son-in-law. Okay, he said, got up and left. He picked you up in a couple of hours. While we were waiting for the order we ordered in the restaurant, I told him, you know, I would like to talk to you about something. But I don't even know how to start, because the truth is that it should be my husband who takes care of this, but you see that that is not possible. Well, tell me what I can do. If it is within my reach, I will gladly do it. I don't know, it just happens that my son-in-law has difficulties with my daughter. But I don't know if this is serious, because it seems that my daughter refuses to be with him. I don't know yes, because he wants to all the time, or the truth is, I don't know. But I would like you to talk to him about this. He, looking at me intently, asked me, have you already talked to your daughter about this, or how did you find out about this? Your daughter told you. No, it wasn't my daughter, I told him. Then who was it? Well, it wasn't anyone, I answered, because I felt that he would reproach me for something. It's just that I have heard some conversations between them, but I don't dare ask them directly. I understand, my brother-in-law whispered, as his gaze was lost in the flickering flame of a candle. I thought it was your son-in-law who told you. Because it was him, you have to be careful. Maybe he just wants something more with you and it's not just advice. Shadows danced across his face, revealing a worried expression. I shook my head, feeling the weight of intrigue rise in the air. No, not at all, I answered cautiously, feeling the touch of the tablecloth under my fingers. Then I think it's best to ask them both how things are. He suggested. But you can't interfere if none of them seek help. Although sincerely, little-in-law, I see that you really awaken many things in men's eyes. These years that you have spent alone seem to have suited you very well. I hope you don't take it at face value. Bad, because you know that I respect you, but I also have eyes. And I think that if your son-in-law asked you for help it is for a reason. No, he hasn't told me anything, I told him. The clink of cutlery echoed in the awkward silence that had settled at the table. And to all this, little sister-in-law, haven't you thought about rebuilding your life? He asked with a hint of suggestion. Remember that you are now free and I believe that the time for mourning has already passed. My eyes met his, trying to decipher his intentions. I honestly hadn't thought about that, I confessed. Well, as you know, my mind was more occupied with how to pay the bills than with me. But maybe now I'll think about it more carefully. Why the question, little-in-law? I asked, while the sparkles of the candle reflected a spark of uncertainty in his eyes. Well, because if you think about it, I hope to be on your list of candidates, he said with a mischievous smile. You know that I have no commitment either and I have what it takes to live with someone. There is little brother-in-law, I told him, the things that occur to you. We finished dinner and he walked me home. The night slipped by quietly, like a barely audible whisper. The clock showed an hour that, although it was not too late, gave the house a stillness that did not belong to it. The lights, in all their yellow and white tones, were completely off, as if the darkness had decided to come to life in that home. I entered cautiously, feeling the strange sensation of being watched by shadows that were hiding in the corners. I ignored the feeling and headed straight to my room. The light on the television screen flickered, reflecting my own unease. I opted to immerse myself in an educational program, a kind of conscious distraction from the strangeness that hung in the air. My thoughts wandered as I reviewed the documents the insurance had provided me. Printed sheets with figures and guarantees, a tangible consolation in the face of the uncertainty of the future. I immersed myself in the illusion of a comfortable life for the time I had left. A smile appeared on my lips, but ephemeral happiness has a habit of fading into the shadows of reality. Suddenly, a sharp pain shot through my stomach, like an unexpected stab. I twisted my body for relief, but the cramping persisted, cruel and unpredictable. It culminated in a stifled sigh, confirmation that something was wrong. My hand instinctively rested on my stomach, as if I could soothe the discomfort with the simple touch. I got up with effort, leaving behind the illusion of well-being. My footsteps echoed on the floor, and each creak merged with the rapid beating of my heart. With unsteady steps, I headed towards the kitchen, looking for the first aid kit. My search focused on something effervescent, a quick solution to calm the internal torment. I was happy when a few minutes later I felt my health was back. A sigh came from deep within me and I prepared to return to my room. Just then my son-in-law appeared. "Hey, you're not going to scare me to death," I murmured with a nervous laugh, waiting for his characteristic smile to light up his face. However, his lips remained sealed in a serious and disconcerting expression. "Forgive me, mother-in-law," he whispered in a sad tone. "I just came for a glass of water." I didn't want to scare her, I thought she was already asleep. I noticed something strange in his eyes, a mix of concern and desperation. That's when I decided to investigate. "Is something wrong with you, son-in-law?" I asked, looking for answers in his eyes. "No, mother-in-law, nothing's wrong," he responded evasively, but his look revealed the opposite. "Let me get you the water," I offered, trying to be comforting. It was at that moment that she confessed, "You know, mother-in-law, you have been very wonderful to me. That's why I want to tell you that tomorrow I'm leaving this house. I can't stand being like this anymore." He confessed to me that my daughter thought he was sick, and that was why he only thought about that, and that tormented him. "You know, mother-in-law, what I mean." With the intention of comforting him, I shared a part of my own story. "Calm down, that's not an illness. I'm like that too, I put up with living with my husband all the time." At that moment, his eyes shone and he spoke some words that would change the course of the conversation. "You too, mother-in-law." That revelation took me by surprise, but I decided to play along. "And wouldn't you be so kind, since you know what this is like, to help me so I don't have to leave the house?" As he spoke these words he approached me. I don't even know why I didn't resist. Well, the only thing I said was, slowly, "Son-in-law, you see that I haven't been swimming for a long time." Complicity was born in that moment, and between whispers and gestures, we understood each other without my daughter suspecting anything. The next day, my son-in-law left home after all, taking with him a shared experience that none of us would forget. My daughter, oblivious to the truth, continued her life, while I continued living with my little secret. My daughter's final confession, revealing to me her preference for women, marked the beginning of a new stage. Me without judging my daughter, I sheltered her properly in my house, and to this day we live under the same roof. And from time to time, I meet my son-in-law in the twilight of nostalgia. I want to thank you for listening and spending time with my stories, and before saying goodbye, I want to recommend that you subscribe to my channel and activate the bell, without forgetting to press your thumb up, as a sign that you liked it. A big hug from your friend Lucy, until next time.